Red Bull's Max Verstappen is undeniably the man to beat in F1, as the young Dutch driver is now a two-time world champion at the young age of 25. And with 6 more years to go on his contract with Red Bull, many fans and personalities in the sport believe that things will only get tougher for the Red Bull driver. So, what do these F1 personalities have to say about Max's future in the sport? And is Max already considering retirement at this early stage in his career? Well, let's talk about it. But before we do, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on our latest uploads. Now that's out of the way, let's get started. As mentioned in the intro, Max has now won 2 titles in a row, but many believe that his third will be his hardest quest yet, with the FIA having punished Red Bull for breaching the budget cap rules in 2021. Let us skip over discussing whether the punishment was fair or not, and talk about how this will affect Verstappen's chances of winning his 3rd title in a row next season. If you aren't aware, the Austrian team will be forced to deal with a 10% reduction in wind tunnel time in 2023, which will undoubtedly put them at a disadvantage to their rivals, i.e. Ferrari and Mercedes. And add to that, the team experienced a loss in their family after owner Dietrich Mateschitz passing in late October. These 2 incidents have fueled talks about the possibility of the team pulling out of F1 in the near future. However, the team's head of driver development, Helmut Marko, has since insisted that the team has no plans of going anywhere, as they aim for another title for next season. There is no need to worry that Red Bull will disappear from Formula 1 in the near future, said Marko when quizzed on the team's long-term prospects. We are far from finished with our mission. We want to win more races and titles. I'm not really worried about the budget cap punishment. We are on the right track for 2023, and with Max, we have the best driver in the field. Since Mateschitz's passing, Red Bull were quick to appoint 3 new managers, with former RB Leipzig CEO Oliver Mintzlaff among the figures expected to lead them into the 2023 season and beyond. Marko would then explain how, although there hasn't been any progress between the team and their new bosses in recent weeks, he has no concern over the team's future in the paddock. Our biggest need has always been that we have many bright minds who don't need a meeting with the supervisory board before anything can be initiated, added Marko. We'll see what that looks like in the future. We'll discuss in the coming weeks what role Mr. Mintzlaff will play. But even with Marko's belief in the team's capability and overall structure, F1 tech guru Craig Scarborough believes that Red Bull, and specifically Verstappen, will undoubtedly feel the effects of their wind tunnel time penalty. In F1 journalist Peter Windsor's Twitch channel, Scarborough would say, "That's going to hurt them a lot. It's going to hurt them in one of 2 ways, or probably a little bit of each. Early mid-season development of next year's car will be limited, and then they'll be doing the concept work for the 2024 car. They're going to have to work out where they're going to spend their hours between this year's car and next year's car, and that will probably be something that will evolve depending on how good the 2023 car is, how much competition they've got, and how much they want to think about 24. That's a big loss for them. As we've got through this first year of the regulations, the development curve is very steep, and it'll start to flatten out through next year as teams make their second stab at the regulations and develop that through the year. I think it will really hurt them because it's at that point, when the development curve flattens off, every one of those teams are looking at tinier things to make improvements, not big changes like we saw with the side pods earlier in the season." Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff would also speak up and say that the chances of another team having a run of dominance like they had, where a team wins 8 titles in a row, will never be duplicated, citing the stringent policing of the new budget cap as the main factor. "It's a relative competition," said Toto. "We know who are our competitors today. There will be others tomorrow and after tomorrow because of the cost cap limits that have been set, and this is what the sport should be. Not 1 team, not 3, but maybe 5 in title contention. The landscape has changed. I don't think anybody will run away with 8 championships in a row going forward, and this is the way the regulations have been designed. I think it's harder because you can't really invest more in order for the outcome to come quicker, but I think how the aerodynamic regulations are designed, and the penalty that they've gotten, it's 25% less wind tunnel time, and that can have an effect. The way that the regulations, the wind tunnel or ATR restrictions, have been set in place allows teams that are further back to really make a big jump compared to the frontrunners. That's also the reason why we will see much closer championships in the future, because if you are last, you will have 50% more, 40% more, so clearly that is an advantage we have to utilize. Is it a given that we can utilize it? Who knows? And with a future looking as hard as it's ever been, Max Verstappen has recently revealed that, although completing his current contract with Red Bull is something he is up for, the Dutch driver would say that extending his stay in the sport past the year 2028 is highly unlikely. If you're not prepared, then it's better to stop already. We're all racers and we love racing. Of course, it's nice to have a season like I had last year, fighting intensely with Lewis Hamilton, but it's also nice to have a season like I have this year. It would be very tough if you have every single year, the year I had last year, but that also doesn't really happen in Formula 1, so it should be okay. F1 is a lot of fun. I'm having, of course, a lot of success, and I know my contract is, of course, until 2028. I'll be 31 at that time. I'm probably still going to be competitive for a few more years, but in those years, I also want to experience other things and just have a bit more fun with less of a schedule. And there you have it, guys. So, do you think Max will be able to surpass Lewis Hamilton in terms of total of drivers' title wins when it's all said and done? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't.